Good evening and welcome to the 8th Annual Black and White Gala. My name is Andrew Bellard and I'm the event chairman for this year. Next to me is Pam Grotefin, the chair-elect for 2019. It's our pleasure to have you here tonight. 3 years ago, Pam and I lost someone who was very near and dear to us. She was Pam's daughter and my sister-in-law. And since the death of Jenny, we've spent all of our time raising money to find a cure for cancer. All of our time is spent raising money through the American Cancer Society because every single cancer breakthrough over the last 50 years has been funded in full or in part by the American Cancer Society. In this part of the world, it's often a question of when, not if, we're all touched by cancer. Tonight, you have two very unique opportunities to participate in funding that research. We have a silent auction and a live auction. At the end of the live auction, we have something called Rally for Research. Every single penny raised is allocated to research exclusively. So please, we ask that you participate if you can. Secondly, I'd like you all to get to know our slate of honorees. We have 11 fine individuals who spend their lives fighting cancer on many different fronts. Some have been afflicted by it, others battle it as doctors. Tonight's a really special time because we're surrounded by lots of people all fighting for the same cause, and we have a committee that is made up of some really great people that I consider friends. I hope you have a good night, enjoy it, and have fun.
My very dear friend, Julie Desatel Jardell, she was diagnosed right around the time that I went into remission. And she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And she fought very hard. And she went to the literal ends of the earth to access whatever medical care that she felt that she needed. And she actually went into a small period of somewhat remission. And then it unfortunately came back. And she passed away in June of 2017. And in all my time of knowing her, she was someone who fought harder and loved harder and lived harder than anyone that I know. We handled our diseases very differently. And I look at how she fought so hard and went to the end hoping that there would be some discovery of a cure. And she gave everything that she had to be here one more day with her children, with her husband, with her family. And so every day that I live in survivorship, it truly becomes true and evident for me when I think of her that every day that I have is truly a gift. Because she will no longer be here with her children and her husband on earth. I do believe that she sees them growing up. I do believe that she touches their lives every day. But every day that I get to watch my children go to school or have a birthday party for them, that is a true gift that I can never take for granted. Because my dear friend who fought harder than me doesn't have that opportunity. She would have made one fantastic honoree, truly fantastic honoree. And so I know that she's with me in spirit. And I was touched by her life. And I wish I had more time with her. But her example of fighting and living, loving, was one for many to learn from.
Well, in 2012, my son Mason was diagnosed with cancer. He was only 10. He was diagnosed with a form of kidney cancer, and we weren't real sure what it was at first. But when we got the first call, the doctor said, it's definitely cancer. I don't know what kind, but it's definitely cancer. You hear about cancer all the time, and you think about, oh, you know, I could be diagnosed with cancer. You never think it can be your child, ever. Whenever I found that out, I said, how am I going to protect him? What do? I can't shield him from this. And at the end of the day, I finally realized that just being positive, trying to hold it together for him, fight for him, because he didn't even know at the time what he was really fighting against.
unbeknownst to me, once I got involved with the American Cancer Society, I didn't realize how many of my friends were actually affected. And I'm not talking about indirectly, I'm talking about who actually fought and beat cancer or who are fighting cancer today. The first phone call kind of went like, hey, Matt, this is Andrew and my friend Monica. And we want you to be an honoree this year for, I was like, okay, what does that mean? Send me something, email. And I went right back to making phone calls and doing my oil and gas work. And about 2 days later, I opened the email, and it really, well, first my mother's picture and memories all started popping up. And so the yes was very, very easy for me. Once I had enough time to sit and ponder of what I was just asked to do, and the fact that they were honoring me, one of 10 or 11 people, was very, very humbling and very emotional in my own way.
I was diagnosed in July of 2012 with uterine cancer or endometrial, and kind of came, I guess, as a shock. The initial diagnosis was definite and certain, so I knew before I went into surgery. But I think my first thought was, okay, now what next? Rely on other people to help you. I know it's very hard for some people to accept help from others, especially when they're very independent and do things themselves. But that was an enormous help to me, to know that I had other people who had my back, and I did accept their help. I thought that was important. I think events such as the gala are so important. I think when you realize the benefits that result from such fundraisers as this, I think their mission of education, research, which I feel, I'm a science teacher, so I feel that is so important, that money go towards research to finding a cure for this disease. And just the advocacy for patients. There's a lot of people who don't have family support and don't have any outside support and have nowhere to turn. And I think they provide such valuable services that are so beneficial to people who are ill.
At 33, I had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. And I just kind of felt like something wasn't right with my body. I went to the doctor, they said I was fine, and I just felt like something wasn't right. So I pushed and went to see another doctor and begged for a colonoscopy, which pretty much no one does. So I think when a 33-year-old was like, can you please do a colonoscopy? The doctor was like, I guess we'll do it. And they found a massive tumor in my colon. It's turned out to be a really positive thing for me. And you know, I'm lucky that they were able to contain it and remove it. And I've gone for scans and it's not returned. It doesn't mean that it won't ever return, but I'm really grateful for every day that I have.
Years ago, we, I guess due to the cancer in the area and so forth, we had friends and family that were diagnosed. And about 2 years after that, our oldest son, Brett, was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And that really brought it right into the house. And so really, we were supportive before that happened, but we got busy and did what we needed to do to support and to figure out our plan of action, his plan of action, and so that's how our involvement really began. And because there's so much information coming at you, and you have to stay focused and get over the shock. It's hard to do that. Easy to say that, but it's hard to do that. But you have to stay focused. And another thing I would recommend, that people want to help you, and whether it's family and friends, and there are people who want to help, they don't know what to do, but accept the help. Whether it's the neighbor preparing a meal, or whether it doesn't matter what the help is. Don't be afraid to say yes, and accept the support that's offered, because you're going to need it, and people are good and people want to help, and so I would say accept that help.
My dad was diagnosed with melanoma when I was 3. It will be okay. This too shall pass. And you know, just look to your loved ones for support and you will get through it.
So I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma and went through chemotherapy, radiation, and a stem cell transplant with a really great result. So I've been cancer-free for 14 years now. In hearing that, I knew that there was a purpose that I was receiving that diagnosis, and I knew I was going to do something important with that further down the road. Locally, I know that ACS has partnered with some local hotels to offer lodging, and we see it especially with pediatric patients coming from Alexandria or Lake Charles and needing to be close to their physicians while going through their treatment. So that is just a huge load off of the family financially. Their stress level is decreased a whole lot.
I think patients need to know that they don't need to go through this alone, that there are people there to support them, not only their family. They will have a treatment family at a place like Cancer Center of Acadiana. There are multiple resources to get people through this difficult journey. And one of our goals is to let them know what those resources are. It's not just about the medicine, it's about taking care of the patient during that journey.
I started medical school 35 years ago. In my career, there has been so much that has changed from the science aspect of it. And that's a wonderful thing. And yet, a lot of the hardships, the toxicity of the medication, the financial aspect of this, the lost wages, the things that families go through, some of that is still really difficult. And so I guess that I would say that while the science is advanced so much, we need to find a way to make things better for the people that are going through it.
A really good friend of mine, Dia Davis, his father, Howard Davis Jr., Olympic gold medalist, got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and never smoked a cigarette in his life. And I was friends with him. I worked with him as well. He taught me some stuff boxing in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And, that's the closest I've been to, when I've seen what it done to my buddy Dia, to his son. He was very close with his father, and it a lot of stuff, man. It's bad. I think cancer is one of the most feared words in every language. It's a horrible thing, but you got to keep up the fight.